Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from Shanghai, China. We're live with the English coverage of the 2019 Auto Chess Invitational. $1 million on the line and a kitty cat. Not on the line.
Not on the line.
But a lot of cool little animals around for some reason. I don't know. Something I noticed, we were walking, we walked by this side store, this like little convenience store, and there's this little kitten.
Yeah.
Just chilling.
Oh, that was so cute.
Just chilling in the doorway.
Just
a little
there
kitten just chilling in the doorway.
Yeah.
You guys kept walking. I had to stop and give a little pet to the
I'm
kitten.
allergic. So,
Oh,
you
okay,
know,
yeah, you're good.
Can't really do. I mean, I can't do that, but no worries.
Yeah,
I was there?
no,
You
I don't
did.
think you were. No, he wasn't there. No, it was Cameron.
I was gonna say, if I was there,
No, you were
I
good
would've
about the
seen
kid.
it. Yeah.
We can go back. It's very close to the hotel. It's like this kid was just chilling.
Kitty.
It surprised me because why doesn't he just run off? No, he's just sitting
Yeah,
at the front.
yeah.
You don't
anyway,
have kids? Where is
that's my. Well, I do, but they usually run. They don't just stay there,
Right.
especially if they're little kittens.
Yeah, it was a
This is
baller
like
kitten.
super
It was a baller
obedient-
kitten.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
Anyway, cool story of the day is over. I want to talk about the interview that we just saw because I thought that was very interesting with News WK, where first he was talking about his history in StarCraft and League of Legends. It's pretty cool to hear him talk about that. And I've done I've done a bit of stuff in StarCraft, but I don't remember him being in the scene as much. So I got to go back and research that more. But something else he said, he only plays 3 hours.
Yeah. I like the
Are
idea.
you crazy? I don't like the idea.
I like the idea of not burning yourself out on a game. Like if you enjoy playing a game that you're doing well at, you don't want to overdo it, if you will. Especially if you're streaming. It does take a lot of energy if you want to keep that up. And
but he
if you do
mentioned
it 8 hours a day, you could get burn out also by working, but also by just getting bored of the game, you know? And then maybe that's not possible for some people.
There's
but
other ways to
I have
learn
some issues
without
with that sometimes.
actually playing. So just
I-
watching some of the other players,
sure.
you pick up things that you don't normally think of on your own. So that could be something that he's doing.
I feel like that is something that can be unpacked a bunch, but we got to get into the next game. We'll talk about that more because I mean I think honestly you can get away with not playing that much. Like in the future pro gamers.
Yeah.
No, we might have pros who play 5 different games, 2 hours each day. 2 hours of each game, and they're competing in all of them or something. But
That's
anyway,
the future of esports.
yeah,
right
that's
there.
the future, and maybe a conversation for another day. But for now, let's take a listen to Sweet Pea and some of his thoughts on the tournament.
My game plan. First of all, I check off my unit, what I have, and then check other what they have, and come up with plan. Do I need to win or lose, and then improvise what game give it to you. Yeah.
Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense what Yang said. He's trying to see what he's starting with, and depending on what your opponent has, he's trying to decide whether he's going to win or lose his first round and going into a lose streak or a win streak. Seems like he's comfortable with both sides of the coin, and I kind of like that sentiment, especially like looking at what your opponents are doing in the early game. I feel like that's a little underestimated in this game.
Yeah, I believe that was actually Sweet Pea
Sweet
from the
Pea.
interview.
Sweet Pea.
Yeah, but either way, it definitely makes sense, and it's one of those things where if you see 4 or 5 other players going knights at round 5 or 6,
but also just winning or losing,
strategy.
right? If you see a bunch of 2 stars, maybe you shouldn't push for a win.
Right.
Maybe it's better to just lose. You gotta think of like, okay, how many players are stronger than me? Like, can I win the next round after the first one? Like, is it possible? Is it reliably possible? Maybe I should start to lose again. How many other players are going for lose streak? Maybe I shouldn't try to lose streak just because of that. Like, there's a lot of things that goes into that in the very early game.
And speaking of lose streaking, we do have Zoinhu, which is open forwarding right now, and that kind of makes the it changes the whole dynamic of the entire lobby, because the only person that's really allowed that gold gain from lose streaking is Zoinhu.
Yep.
And it's one of those strategies that's kind of like a double-edged sword, because you can get to the point where you have all this gold and you're super well economized, but then all of a sudden you have no HP and you die. But at the same time, just putting that pressure on the rest of the lobby, so you're denying them. Well, you're denying them from having a lose streak.
Right.
Instead of having like several people lose streaking and several people win streaking, there's only probably 1 or 2 people that'll be win streaking, and then you're the only one that's lose streaking.
And you're also putting pressure on your opponents to punish you for doing this.
Yeah.
Like the less strong your opponents are when you're trying to transition, into a win streak from a lose streak to have one of those perfect games, just like I believe Land had in the first game. He did that perfectly, and that is because he was able to become strong enough at the time where he was about to transition. But if your opponents are insanely strong at those points, it's going to be really hard. I mean, it's the way it is. It seems like Nudge actually high rolled quite a lot on his items. I think I saw 2 Magicka crystals in the early game. Yeah, he does have 2, both on Argalian Knight, and that really makes sense because Argalian Knight is one of those units that are perfect for the early game, but doesn't really fit in any comp unless you're going for 6 Knights. So he does put both items on that because he is suspecting himself to be selling that in the coming rounds.
Yeah, he's got himself a nice start going on right
what
now.
A nice heal.
Of course, the Argalian Knight with the Magicka Crystal is super underrated in the starting rounds here. But overall, got himself a nice pair of 2 stars there with the Taboo Witcher as well as the Agrasis Ranger, and can start possibly looking into a Hunter build because he does have a frontline, and he also has the Agrasis Ranger. So not a bad start for Nuge, the only one at 100% now going into round 7. And if we take a look, actually an early Dragonite. So this might actually change everything.
Yeah, this is the earliest Dragonite I've seen.
Yeah, round 7 Dragonite is no joke. He does have now the double Knight bonus, but at the same time he has
2 people
bonus,
actually open fording here. This
so
is kind of crazy.
This is a little bit of a kamikaze strategy from Land, in my opinion. You're kind of just hoping that you don't get put up against the other one.
Yeah.
And so far, they're playing a game of chicken.
Right.
to be completely honest. Because we have seen in the past where there was 2 players open fording and the one gets put up against the other, you lose your lose streak, and they're out. It actually happened with Monty in
because
game 3
even
of Group A.
Soinu at this point, I mean, he's already committed into lose streaking, and you can't really start all of a sudden win streaking. That's not how it works. All the other players are trying to win streak. It's not like you can just come back out of nowhere from a single roll, you know?
Well,
so
I kind of have to argue that a little bit because we did see Nudge in game 1
but he wasn't,
go into a lose streak, and then he leveled
but he didn't
and came
open
straight back from it. True, but I don't think that's necessarily impossible for Zoinhu to change his strategy completely. He's already gained a lot of extra gold from that open fort where he has an advantage. Now just take that 76% HP and say, okay, this is where I'm going to stop now, and just go straight into something. If you happen to find maybe like a really good shot, just build your team
You
up
can
of
start
it and go
moving into trying to start winning your games again, but it's going to take a couple of rounds to be able to compete with the other people that's already been win streaking for a while.
No,
that's
of course,
issue,
of course.
Right? So in that way, you're already committed.
At the same time, would you rather do that than middle? Because that's basically the other option, right?
I mean, you would prefer not to, but I think you're kind of forced into hoping that won't happen, if you will. So we're gonna see if Soinu or Land is. This seems like they're both still losing at this point. It's an interesting watch because I think we're gonna see a bit of a structure change for either of the player who gets to face the other, if that even happens at all. They could also not face each other for the entirety of this match, right? Unlikely, but it could happen. Land moving into the Dragon Mages here, supposedly has 2 dragons already, working towards that extra mage with the swords. Only needs a front line really to protect himself.
Takes the short end of the stick here, so
does get the draw.
He is going to lose his lose streak right now up against Land, especially devastating for him going into round 10 as well. So he's going to lose not just the 3 gold from losing the lose streak, but also another 3 gold potentially from
I think actually
going
the creep
into
round doesn't
10.
take effect of the streaks, right?
You do still gain the extra gold.
Okay, you do.
Yes.
Okay.
But he didn't even gain an extra gold from winning because it was a draw.
Right.
So he just lost 6 gold.
Yeah.
And however much exponentially it's going to cost him in the next few rounds here. So he's really got to just say, okay, that's
so Lan was the lucky one.
And
Lan was the lucky one. He was second in to go into a lose streak, right?
Yeah.
And he actually just punished Shoner for being in the open fort.
Yeah. It
is interesting.
Like we said, a bit of a game of chicken there, and Land definitely won that one.
See if Land can actually defeat these rock columns. I think Soinu is going to be fine here with his Heavenly Bomber 2. Yeah, this is gonna be close. This Winter Sharpener is not gonna be able to, might be able to defeat this Golem.
Yeah, he's gonna get one more hit on it.
Yeah,
actually.
at least one Golem, so that's okay actually for Land. The thing with difference between Sonya and Land is that Sonya's setup is actually a lot weaker. It's not gonna be able to transition as well as Land's. Land's has a better kind of way into a more solid comp at this point, so Land is definitely ahead here in this early game of loose streaking.
Nudge looking really strong right now.
Is so strong.
Just
Werewolf
doesn't have
is
the
crazy.
Hunter bonus in yet, which is kind of hindering his ability right now. But once he starts getting that going, I mean, already having double 2-star Aegis Ranger, 2-star Werewolf at round 11 is actually massive. And if he can also get his 2-star Sniper in the next few rounds, that would be insane.
And even Racing Law is nothing to scoff at. It's a little awkward here that it's so far back so it doesn't get off his bear in the beginning, but I mean,
he's still getting the beast bonus,
is just still solid, and of course adding the beast bonus, but also in itself, it's just not a bad unit. Does lose, however, against Sizzle. Sizzle is unfortunately already out of this tournament. It already only has 2 points after the 2 first games, so not a great day for Sizzle. Kong is the one that has the most health here. Let's have a look at Kong, see what he's working with. Kong is working with that. Yeah, he does have that Sniper 2-star, does have 3 Rangers, does have a really strong unit on its own in a vacuum, which is Phantom Queen. It's just a strong unit this early. One of the few units that deals tons of magic burst, also as an AoE. So nice units to start with, for sure. Probably gonna rotate out of it, given that he has 3 Hunters, especially with Dwarf Sniper already being upgraded.
Yeah, the 2-star Dwarf Sniper is the main key to Kong's success right now. That's something that we were talking about Nudge having potentially, because he does have the pair of Dwarf Snipers, but the fact that Kong already has that in place is definitely going to give him the upper hand for the next several rounds.
Super strong, for sure. No, I totally agree. Actually, there's tons of Hunter players all in top 3, and it does make sense that all of them are in top 3 given how strong they are in the early to mid game.
I haven't seen any Knights players just yet, so maybe we can kind of take a look around.
Through, yeah. It's another Hunter player.
Possibly Knights from Zoinhu. Okay, there's one Knight Glacier
all right.
with Sweet Pea, possibly Zoinhu, like we said.
Good position to be in also. He's only level 5, however, which is a little awkward, so not the best economized. Let's have tons of, like a few Soul Breakers and a Whisperers here on the bench. A little surprised about those. I guess you can always keep the Seer in case you find 2 Unicorns. If it's not costing you any gold, you can always keep that over to the next round. I would love to see, however, Land and see how he is transitioning away from his lose streak. He lost a ton of life here this round. Lost 6 full damage here from all the 6 units surviving. Let's see if he can turn this around, because...
Yeah, and the game 1, where Land actually won, he did do it from a lose streak, right?
Yep.
And then he came back. So I would suspect that that's going to be his strategy coming into game 3. What worked for him game 1 will work for him game 3.
Right.
And that's got to be the mentality going into it. But
yeah.
28% HP, that's already lower than what he was on game 1. So he's got to start making some moves.
Yeah, and I even think this round he's a little weak to be able to win. He needs to face one of the least strong opponents. Let's face
I mean, double Winter Cairo Terran, not sure about that. I feel like there's more value on the bench with even just a 1-star
Werewolf, right?
Werewolf?
Yeah.
Correct. Unless he still just wants to lose because it is round 14 going into the creep round. That could be what his mindset is. Doesn't need to be that strong, but 18% HP. This is
scary.
It's already lower than where you ever want to get to, even on a lose streak.
No, for sure.
Even saving that to go into round 15.
So the issue with being this low on a lose streak, even if you do turn around for several rounds, even if you win 7 in a row, for example, the time you lose is going to be such a big issue, because you can only lose 1 or 2, maybe if you're lucky, 3 times at this point. So if you don't have that life buffer, even if you're stronger than almost all of your opponents, you might play against one of your opponents that get a little bit better positioning into you, might not necessarily be stronger than you, but Do you have the better RNG in your fight? They got off their human silence, for example. And then it only takes one or two of those and then you're out. So that's why you got to turn around a little bit earlier on a higher life total.
He's actually in a really good spot here to power spike because he does have an egg on the bench, so it gives him options. If he rolls down here, gets his 2-star Tortola Elder, possibly a 2-star Doom, and actually takes out the Water Spirit and throws in a Werewolf to get 4 human bonus. I think that would be a really good option for him if he could do that. Probably round 16 because, again, you don't want to lose any more from here because it's already too much at this
Multiple
point.
players being close to Orber Refresh, I believe both Land and Nudge were one item away. Could be a big power spike for them. Land seems to... Okay, so he did hit Found the Spirit.
Looks like he's
going
valuing spirits
and 6
over
mages.
4 humans.
Yeah. And I like that, honestly. I think 4 humans are worse in the early game. You need that burst to just burst your opponent down, especially before they start getting 3 stars. And especially units that can crowd control, right? It's not so important to silence your opponent, it's more important to burst them down, especially when they have a lower health pool at this point. But I would like for him to have 4 humans, for sure, like in the near future. But for now, I think the Water Spirit is a little stronger. And it is paramount for him that he doesn't lose here. He can't lose for many, many rounds.
Yeah. He can't lose until there's about 4 other people that are already out.
Basically, yeah, basically. So scary position to be in, and there's really no room for mistake at this point. We see actually Nudge on top of the standings here again, so having a great game. It's kind of showing his prowess that he showed us during the qualifiers. Actually just barely winning that lobby, but still very impressive to win the European qualifier.
Yeah, I think he's in a really good spot here going into Game 3 with the point standings. He just has to have a solid game, and he should be in a good situation to move on to tomorrow. We do have Sweet Pea, the lone level 6 player right now compared to the entire lobby. I was taking a look at Zoinhu again, just want to make sure I kept an eye on his leveling, and he did end up going to level 7 on curve, round 17, so nothing nothing out of the ordinary there. Right, correct.
Yeah, I think there was only that one game where he stayed at 5 and tried to level for those knights and then went up pretty quickly to the other level.
Yeah, he might have got a little bit behind or rolled down too much where he couldn't gain that interest back in order to stay on
Or
the
had
curve
too much
anymore.
of an expensive bench, for example.
Yeah.
One out of those 2. So Sweet Pea actually has a tons of Silver Blade Knights. He's only 1 away from a 3-star, only 1 away from a 3-star Defector if he chooses to use the egg for that, which I don't think he will, but pretty close to a Defector also. Does need 2 more if he doesn't want to use the egg. Kind of in a middling position here. He doesn't have a great economy, has about half in life in terms of this lobby. So, not looking fantastic for Sweet Pea. He really needs to find this Light Blade Knight before, so he can start saving up some more money again.
Yeah, up against Nudge WK right now, and just trying to get past that God of War front line.
Not gonna happen.
We've
War
seen
Sniper is too much.
A couple players actually picking up God of War in this round,
Or is
which
it?
actually he does get past the God of War with the Hell Knight and the.
I wonder what items that Hell
ricochet
Knight has,
damage.
because it was surviving for such a long time, actually. Let's have a look here. Okay, so it does have a Jade Pipe and a Hell Knight plate mail. Oh, sorry, steel plate mail. So that does make sense, because that made it so that the Light Blade Knight could actually cleave down the back line, and he was able to get that win against Nudge, who's leading this lobby at 81% and 50 gold.
So rolling down to 22 gold here, and yeah, again, still just looking for that Light Blade Knight. He ended up giving up on one of his units. I believe it was the Frost Knights that he ended up just giving up on, which definitely makes sense because he's so close to a defected 3-star. Actually, pretty close to a Desperate Doctor 3-star. I think he's actually just got 1 on the board, so scratch that. So still kind of far away from that. Just looking, like you said, for that main extra Light Blade Knight to give him that pretty big power spike. I don't think he's in the worst position. I think if he hits it, probably after this creep round, he should be just fine. But any longer than that, then yeah, with no interest, economy, it will be hard for him.
Let's have a look at Mispiece. I think it's the leader of our lobby currently. I believe he has 2 third places, if I'm not mistaken. And he's actually going for the Beast Warrior. Okay, looking quite. He does have the Fallen Witcher also in there, so we could see another Warrior Fallen Witcher game. He doesn't have a Taboo Witcher so far, however, so that's a little awkward. That's something you definitely want to add together with that Taboo Witcher. But yeah, interesting to see that kind of happen, possibly again. It's more than I've seen in competitive gaming for a long time. 3 games in one day. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think it works really well with the Beast Warrior synergy because you're either going to add in, you know, a Wormy Boy or Poisonous Worm. I always default to Wormy Boy. I don't know why. I apologize. But you know, you either add in a Poisonous Worm, but in this case, he already has 2 beasts, so he doesn't really need to. So instead, he ends up going with that 2-star Fallen Witcher, which is providing a ton of extra damage.
Super nice in this setup, especially because it has tons of tanks, so you can actually tank for Fallen Witcher. It does have the beast bonus, so that does give it extra percentage damage, which is of course super nice if you already have tons of damage. Additionally, some of the warriors actually are pretty good at crowd controlling your opponent, so that also helps. And if you get a Siren also, that adds additional crowd control and that marine bonus, which is detrimental to kind of protect your Fallen Witcher to do what he does best, and that is basically nuking down your opponents.
For example, he does have the Red Axe Chief right next to his
exactly
Fallen Witcher, so it takes the aggro off of him.
Yeah, so they deal some damage to the Fallen Witcher, and then Red Axe Chief gets his mana for his ult, and it pulls him kind of off of him, so that's kind of the perfect duo, if you will, at least in the mid game.
Yeah. Works very nicely, and you might see him eventually transition out of it, but unless you can get a 3-star Fallen Witcher, it actually might not be the worst thing in the world.
And land still at 18%. Doesn't have much of an economy, however, but it does have all the upgrades that it needs. Doesn't have a Dragonite, however, so he does go with the Venom instead. Kind of had to move around a little bit here, do something different. I mean, and this is what you gotta do. You gotta think on the fly in this game. Sometimes you're just not gonna find the Dragonite. That just happens, you know, and then you gotta do something else, and you can't really be waiting either, especially if you're only at 18% HP, being the lowest player on HP in this lobby.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of people not cornering their Tortola Elders, and I'm not sure if I really still agree with that or not. I feel like that's just the best place to put him, period. Especially more so than potentially a Flaming Wizard in the corner, because it might take her a little bit longer to, you know, get her ult off, so that way she can start attacking much faster. So it's just kind of interesting to see the playstyles over the different countries. So, but at the same time, yeah, land looking decent right now. Looking for a comeback.
Yeah, it'd be crazy if he did this again. He doesn't have as good of an economy this time, but I do think he's gonna start saving now. I don't think he's gonna move in using his money in a while, because he's kind of far away from any big upgrade. I mean, sure, he's close to Winter Sharapper run at this point, but it's not really that important of an upgrade, so I think he'd rather wait and then maybe exchange his Water Spirit at some point for maybe Dark Spirit or another frontliner.
Yeah, remember we talked about Land just trying to stay on a win streak until 4 players or 3 or 4 players got out before him. Well, he's kind of caught up in HP to Mispiece, Zoinhu, and Sizzle now, that are kind of falling below him at this point. Not quite yet, but yeah, there goes 2 out of the 3 for sure. So Zoinhu and Mispiece now dropping down to severely low HP. Zoinhu, one that has an opportunity to get back into tomorrow's matches and move on, but with a 7th or 8th finish here, it would kind of put him out of contention, unfortunately.
Yeah, one Hell Knight away here to kind of hopefully secure his city. It does find it. It does sell tons of units to find it, because it's kind of desperate at this point. He's kind of feeling he's on the cusp of being eliminated, and well, there's so many other players also being on the cusp, it's so important to get an additional upgrade now and not later. You don't want to lose any more life, especially if there's other players that are close to being kicked out, especially since this is the last game, right?
Yeah.
Like if you just can hold on for a little longer in comparison to other players, it's going to be huge. And we can see how big this Hell Knight is. It's going to just save him so much life. He does lose this round, but he would have been almost dead this round if he didn't have that. So big for him. Misspiece does lose against Soinhu, so important for that reason also.
Misspiece is in contention as well, so if Misspiece goes out 8, that would be pretty devastating for Misspiece, also devastating for Zoinhu. But if Land does come back, that would be pretty cool to see. Sizzle at this point just kind of knocking people out for the heck of it for him, you know. So it is taking away points, though, crucial points from those that are actually really in need of it for moving on from tomorrow.
For sure. Yeah, Sweet Pea and Nudge looking really good in this lobby. Both of them have a good amount of points before this last round, so they must be feeling really good about kind of trying to secure themselves into tomorrow's games. And under that, it's anybody's game for the 2 last slots, I think. I'll be surprised if Sweet Pea and Nudge kind of loses from here. They both have tons of life and a pretty good bank at this point, while most of the other players have kind of rolled down or used that gold to level. Sweet Pea is not level 8 though, however, so he's got to invest in that also. But yeah, Sweet Pea is actually really close to a lot of upgrades also.
Close to upgrades, but honestly not looking as strong as I thought
Expected?
they were.
Oh, and when he does go up to 8 here, does sell a pair of... What did he sell there? Does roll down here after he gone up to 8. Does find the egg here. He's going to use it for Soul Reaper. He does. That really makes sense here to kind of cement himself in the top 4. I do like this. Oh wow, that's a God of War 3 from Kong. It's gonna be so good for him. So he's gonna... Is he gonna win this round? It's gonna be close.
Yeah, the God of War 3-star is actually doing a ton of damage. And right now it's the highest DPS unit on his team, even without Divinity bonus, which is pretty insane. It just shows you how important. We haven't seen too much God of War play.
Misspiece actually goes out here at 8th place. Think that's gonna eliminate him from the... No, wait, hold on. Wasn't he in 1st place before this? He had like 16 points, didn't he? 12 points.
Yeah, but
so he might be on the cusp.
A huge buffer.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
At this point, anything could happen.
Yeah, right. We talked about before. 12 points was usually enough to get into top 4, but in this lobby that is this close, it might not be the case. Like there's 2 players that are in. They're dead, right? They have 2 and 0 points, I think, or something like that. 2 and 4 or whatever. They're dead, right? But the top 6 after that, they're so close next to each other. So 12 might not be enough this time.
But at this point,
Misspiece
doesn't want Sizzle and Zoinhu to go out right now.
No.
If they do, that's going to put a huge damper on Misspiece's plan.
He wants the top 4 to be Nudge, Sweet Pea, Sizzle, and was Yang the 2nd last place? No, was it Seinu?
Zoinhu is actually 7th. Or 6th,
So Seinu does go out at 7th here.
So Zoinhu does actually take 7th, which is not good for Misspiece. Not good for Misspiece. I don't know exactly how the math all shakes out.
Let's have a look at Soinu's positioning going out 7th here.
Zoinhu's already out, but we'll see how much points he has.
Soinu was out before this.
He's got like 8 points.
8 points. Soinu's 8 points, so he's definitely out of the top 4. Look, who's the bottom 2 players? It's
Sizzle
and Yang. Right. So Yang actually has 5 points, so you can definitely get in there if he does win this round. It goes up to 14, and that should be enough to get into the next day, most likely.
Yeah, Misspiece going out last kind of shook so many things up.
Yeah, that made everything different.
For a lot of people.
No, for sure. Yeah, 12 might not be enough here. It might be the Bubble Boy coming 5th.
Yeah, it might actually come down to a tiebreaker, but possibly not something that Misspiece would win. Actually, could win. I'm sorry. Misspiece could win that. So, I don't know. We could talk about this and kind of go over it, but at this point, it's kind of still up in the air. Sizzle hanging on with 7% HP. Kong, 14% HP.
Right.
Land hasn't budged from 18%
That's perfect.
since he finished
Went
lose
up to
streaking.
9. Yeah.
So yeah, he's kind of playing
He's
that
really
lose
good
streak
at
into win
playing the
streak.
lose streak. He's
Very
just
well.
really good at it. Yeah.
Being aggressive when he needs to, using the
sure.
gold and keeping it as much as he possibly can and building
For
a strong
sure.
team around it. So very nice to see Land, again, another South Korean player trying to live up to the legacy. He has 10 points currently right now, which is,
Right.
I believe, tied for second with two other players.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, yeah. So two other players. So with a strong finish from here, that would put him well over Miss Peace.
Yeah,
obviously.
I think he only needs to take 5th, right, to be locked and loaded. Could even go 6th.
Right, but I'm saying if he wants to get first and kind of join the club with Osana
with the
and
Koreans,
Jinsu.
right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I guess the Koreans can still flex. That's true. Yeah.
It would be actually pretty cool to see him.
So Sissel
do it for
almost
sure.
going out here. Of course, the thing with Sissel here is that it still matters what he positions himself for the overall standings. He himself is not going to be in no matter what. But the higher he comes, the more points he kind of takes from the other players that are still remaining, the more important it's going to be for Miss Peace, that are hoping for dear life that some of the bubble boys aren't going to catch up to him.
Yeah, and still Nudge with a pretty dominant HP lead right now at 72%. Sweet Pea slowly trickling down at 38. Land again not budging. Yang, Kong, and Sizzle now on the chopping block. We do have round 30 creep round, and possibly we could take a look at the items being tossed around to the field here.
All right, so Nudge actually has that mask. Yeah, he has. Oh wow, he has so many good items. It's unbelievable. He has a high roll, really high here with his item. Yeah, Nudge is good. Nudge is good. I think Nudge is gonna. I'll be surprised if he doesn't win. Maybe he comes second. But yeah, I think he's gonna win this round. Sissel does find an Abyss Guard 3-star here, so maybe he can stay in this game for a while longer, which is what really Mispis is really hoping for. He wants Sissel and Yang to do as good as possible.
Yeah, Miss Peace is Sizzle's biggest fan right now. For
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. And he also wants Yang to do moderately well, but not the best, if you will. He wants Yang to get 6 points, right? That's what he wants. That would be perfect. Then Yang goes up to 11.
Your EU math is probably better than mine, so I'm gonna say that yes, that's exactly what he wants.
Oh, and Kong actually does go out here. That's only gonna give him 2 points, I believe.
Yeah, so that's
For
actually
being
scary for
fifth.
Kong.
Or sixth,
so
I mean.
I believe he's now tied with Miss Peace on
12 points?
at 12.
Yeah. So that
Correct.
might be down to a tiebreaker. That actually makes it even more interesting.
Might be a tiebreaker for Kong and Miss Peace.
Yeah,
actually.
if they're 4th and 5th, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They're both at 12 points at this
Could
point.
shake out to that as it stands. Nudge looking at possibly a first place finish as well as Land
Nudge
at the
is
same
looking
time
really good.
too. So it depends on how this finishes out.
How about Sweet Pea? What's Sweet Pea's point status
Yeah,
right
no,
now?
we haven't taken a look at Sweet Pea for a while actually.
Yeah, let's have a look at Sweet Pea's. And he has 10 points currently, so he finally found his 3-star Defector and that Lightblade Knight, so looking a lot stronger. Lightblade Knight actually does get locked in the beginning of the round from that item, so big start for Land here, trying to deal damage to Sweet Pea, which he... it's the 2 carries are still left. Let's see if Lightblade Knight can indeed solo all 3 of these. He might be able to, knowing Lightblade Knight. Does get stunned, however, by the second ship of that Pirate Captain, so not going to be enough. Losing here, and Sizzle is out, thus playing against Sweet Pea, being pretty strong here in this lobby, so no surprise there really. But yeah, Sweet Pea has 10 points right now. So I think, yeah, Sweet Pea is in for sure, right?
Yeah,
now that it's down to top 4.
Yeah, Sweet Pea's in
He's
for
in.
sure. It's just a matter of placement for Sweet Pea.
Yeah, and Land should
Nudge,
be also,
I believe,
right?
is in, and Land is also in.
Yeah.
Yang
It's a nice comeback
might
for Land
actually
in this game.
have a chance. Okay.
Yeah, Yang can, if he has 5 points, so if he takes second place, it's actually gonna be triple tie. It's gonna be a triple tiebreaker for 4th place. So that would be really interesting. If he wins, he's in for sure. Nudge is already in, Sweet Pea is already in, and Land is already in. So all of these 3 players are in. So the important part, what matters here, is, well, the second most important thing that could happen is if
Land
Yang
actually
comes
going out here.
Oh, so Land going out. I was about to say the most important thing is seeing whether Land is gonna join his brethren defeating his group, but he's not. So then the second most important thing, which is really the most important thing, let's be real, is gonna see where Yang places himself here. If he comes second, that's gonna be a triple tie for fourth. And fourth,
he needs it for a chance.
he needs it for a chance. And if he wins, he's in for sure. If it's out in third place, he's out. Then it's gonna be a 2-way tie between Miss Peace, I believe, and the Kong. Is that right? Yeah, Kong.
The only thing is though that Miss Peace has a win.
Right, he does have a win. Kong does not.
No, he does not have a win. A third place.
A third place, and Kong.
2 third places is actually what it was. So he was in first place going into this round.
Yeah, you're right.
But
He's
it was
Mr.
because of
Consistent, isn't he? Yeah.
Right, Mr. Consistency. Yang going out here, unfortunately, so that is going to be
eliminating him
from the tournament. But nice push at the very end there to try to give himself a chance.
Making it interesting.
And possibly, so man, that was super close for Yang. Sweet Pea and Nudge WK also now officially in. But Nudge trying to clench himself as the #1 player from his seed. Still at this point, 68% HP left, 40 gold interest, playing the half Hunter Marine build at the moment. So he's got 4 Marines. And against Sweet Pea being a Knights Glacier player.
Yeah, maybe not the best.
It's a
And this is the second time that Nudge goes into a questionable form Marine.
It is.
He has been doing well both times, however. I mean, 3 of them are really good for his setup, honestly. I mean, Abyssal Guard, it does complete the warrior bonus. Both the other 2 Marines here, Tsunami Stalker and Siren, they do complete the Hunter bonus, right? So both pretty important. I mean, he does have 4 Hunters
He tosses
currently.
the Abyssal Crawler aside.
Smart idea.
And what we talked about last game, him not doing, is exactly what he's doing this game, rolling down and trying to just force Sweet Pea out, just trying to finish this game,
he's only level 8 also, so it's a golden opportunity, really. I would have loved for him to find an Evil Knight instead of that Razor Claw.
Yeah.
And then he has 4 Aggresses, and that would be insane.
And against Knights,
actually.
that's way better than 4 Marine, for sure.
You could say that again, my friend.
And against Knights, it's way better than 4 Marines, for sure.
Well, you did. You succeeded in saying it again. I congratulate you. All right, so he does crush Sweet Pea on his side of the board, and, well, same thing on Sweet Pea's side of the board. I think this is only going to be a matter of time, really, before Sweet Pea is getting kicked out. He's only level 8. He does find 2 more Ghost Prophets, so the dream is real. I think he should put that in instead of the Razor Claw if he wants to use his egg for this turn. Just finish off Sweet Pea as fast as possible.
Having a little llama farm over here.
Does have an egg in play also. Let's see if it's going to come down to a good old egg battle. Does put in that extra Ghost Prophet, so I do like that instead of the Razor Claw.
Oh, he actually has
he
7 Ghost Prophets.
He does, yeah, he's only 2 away. But yeah, I do think that Sweet Pea's definitely going to lose this round also. Question is by how much? How much more time does he have?
Actually just draining the HP.
Yeah, it's just crushing his opponent here. So taking 12 damage, almost out here, on the cusp of getting removed.
2% HP.
Yeah, and we're pretty far away from the creep round, so I think this is going to be Sweet Pea's last hurrah. Could maybe go up to level 9 to increase his chances a little bit, but not just at level 10. And he has 2 2-star Ghost Prophets. It's just too far away to be catched at this point.
Yeah, Sweet Pea sitting on 28 gold as well. Possibly too far away to level.
That's
possibly
fine.
Too far away to roll down as well. So just hoping that he can get through this round without a scratch, and then potentially going up next round.
Let's put in that Razor Claw 2-star at this point. Yeah, this is gonna be over here. Nudge is actually gonna claim yet another first position, so crushing it here in his group. Very impressive.
Almost the most dominant display
No,
of
for sure,
finishes
for sure, for sure.
out of all the groups so far.
Yeah, did the same thing in the European qualifiers, so not showing how to do it here. Super impressive.
Yeah, and I don't think we've had another player today who has gotten first twice.
Nope.
Yeah.
But I have to say it's a little embarrassing he got sixth in the first match.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
that's
Come on,
shameful.
dude.
Come on.
How do you win the second match and the third match, but then you get sixth in the first match?
I know.
Actually, from a professional
Clearly embarrassing.
question to you experts, like, can you break that down a little bit? Like, what happened to him? Like, how does he go from sixth to first? Like, what went so wrong in the first
Oh,
match?
I think he high rolled some items
Yeah.
on the
And
two
how does
games
he
before.
avoid that, like, going forward, you know? Like,
You just high roll items.
He was,
Yeah.
he was a
Just
little
high roll
lucky
items
with
every game.
he was a little lucky with the items, but and there's definitely some kind of RNG there going into that. But I mean, sometimes there's different types of RNG, right? You can
Yeah.
get the items, you can high roll the right things. Maybe you only get the units that are not the best in this current lobby. Maybe you get like Beast Warriors when everybody has a counter to Beast Warriors. Just for example.
I
But
feel like he did
there's
play-
also some like there's clearly a bunch of play skills to it also. So
He played a little bit more aggressive, though,
Yeah.
on game 1 and 3 than he did on game 2. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he went into a lose streak game 2.
well,
And I
he
think
won game 2 and 3, right?
yes.
Game,
Eh,
game
no,
1.
he won.
He won game 2 and 3.
Yeah, so game 1, the one that he got 6th.
Yeah.
That's when he lose streaked.
That's when yeah, that is when he lose streaks as
Yeah,
well.
he crushed both game 2 and 3. He's really good at playing when he's ahead.
Yeah, he was like 100. He
especially.
was 100%.
We saw
almost
that
the whole
from the
time.
qualifiers,
Yeah.
especially. He was very good at analyzing the early game and then pushing that advantage the entire
You know,
match.
one thing that people have said about him is that he is a one-trick Dragon Mage player, or just Mage player in general.
Right.
So seeing him
Yeah, I
kind
didn't really
of
see
break
that
out of
today.
that
So
shell.
now
He's
so
a
you-
one-trick hunter player.
Exactly. I was about
And not
to
only
say.
that, like we didn't have that much success from our European region today.
No, we
Sorry,
did not.
sorry, Scoundrel. Wherever you, oh, I see him over there. Actually, he didn't hear me. But I mean, Nudge. He like was as dominating as he could be in
Yeah.
his group,
Yeah.
representing the European region.
Yep.
On a day when Europe has not been doing well, so
Yeah.
that's got to bode well for any European fans out there, and honestly for us, that's great.
Him and
have-
Seiko.
Oh, yeah, Seiko
Yeah, Seiko
took
and him
second.
looking really strong.
Yeah, so
with a tie.
Yeah.
Tie
so
for
the
first.
tie from what just happened here, from the round
No,
we just saw.
Seiko and his group tied
Oh, I
in
see what you're
first.
saying. Yeah,
But he
Seiko
was
also the
second on
European
tiebreaker.
player.
Right.
Yeah, so he's looking really strong from the Europe.
Yes, that's
Europe
true.
also.
So a couple heroes for the European guys, but the earlier two matches, earlier two groups did
Not so
not
much.
go as well. Here we see the match results, and we're actually, I think we concluded that we do have a tiebreaker, right?
Yeah, I do think so.
Between Kong and Miss Peace. So
Almost a three-way
drum
tie.
rolls here because I think it's going to be revealed in a second here who actually will move on, and it's a huge deal because you're going from $4,000 to $8,000.
And potential
And here
for
we go.
more. And
It's going to be
is in.
Kong. Look at that.
Yeah,
tie for 4th and 5th.
There
Wow,
we go.
that's heartbreaking for Miss Peace going
Yeah.
into game 3 as the number
Wow.
one
Yeah,
overall
that's so
player and not making
He's gonna
it through.
beat
That's a good
himself
point.
up about this
Eighth
afterwards.
place.
Just
Yeah.
gonna
He just got
stink.
last.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get last,
That's it.
He's in.
He's in.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about
crazy.
that 12 points have almost always been secured.
we were hyping
and
him up. We're
yeah,
like,
And
it's
Yang,
almost all of
Yang
the-
only 1 point away as well.
That's crazy because 12 points has always almost been enough for all of the other groups, right? For 4th place.
Yeah,
It's been very
yeah,
safe, and
yeah.
here we can even see it being a two-way tie. That's kind of crazy.
20
And
points from
Must
Nacho.
feel even more unfortunate. So
it had to have been a little spooky for Land also.
true.
Like,
Yeah. Well, he knew
got
what he was
first,
doing. I mean,
and then he
clearly-
got last,
Yeah.
and then he was actually in last for a little bit there.
Yeah.
I'm sure his
80%.
heart was beating.
It is the way he came first the first time, though.
Right.
He started last. He clearly he's very good at lose streaking. He know what he's doing. Like he didn't lose after he started
Dramatic.
winning
Dramatic.
Until he
We
did.
need to get
until he did.
we need to get heartbeat monitors.
Yeah.
For these guys.
Well, he's calm as a cobra.
Think so?
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
he
so.
is super calm. in
It
that
seems
last
like
game.
he has done this before.
What do you think about Lucky? Like, was her heart beating? Like,
Yeah, that
during
was a
the-
little bit more shaky, probably. I mean, at least if you were watching the hand.
Yeah, that was
emotion
crazy.
was nice. That's just the way it should be.
Yeah, I mean, we're at this point we're kind of recapping the day because
Yeah.
we are done.
Yeah, that's it.
We went live I think at 10 a.m. local time. It is now I believe 9:30 p.m. 9:30 p.m. local time, which is approximately 11 and a half hours of broadcast. So anyone who has been hanging out this whole time, you're pretty awesome.
Yeah.
go get some sleep because you need to get back here tomorrow. Don't even watch the rest of the show right now. We're done with the games. Come back tomorrow and check us out. What time are we live tomorrow? I'll probably get that heard in my ear. It's a little bit later tomorrow and then a little bit later the next day.
Right.
But
because
man,
there's less games, right?
Yeah. Yes. So we're going to the semifinals tomorrow and then the finals next day. Best of fours tomorrow. Yep. 2 groups.
Yep. So 8 games tomorrow. It's going to be good.
So we're going to take a look at the groups. We're going to go group by group here to see how everything panned out. What a day. And the thing is like it's a long day. It's kind of grueling, but it's been a ton of fun because there's so much action. Here we see Group A. We had Osana, our first South Korean player
21
on the
points.
stage.
That's
just
big.
Oh, so he did win twice.
Right.
Okay. So we had at least 2 players win twice, him and Nudge.
Also a 6th place finish, right?
Right.
3 points, yeah.
Yeah?
It's true.
Wow.
Impressive.
No. That would be 5th.
That's
yeah.
fifth, yeah.
Still, yeah. And here we see Group B, Jinsu, the South Korean player, 22 points at the top.
Group also 12 points would have been enough. So.
Yeah, and Tutu had a win, a pretty cool game actually. His win in Game 2 with the Fallen Witcher.
Yep.
Very cool to see. But then he got last, and that ended up being his downfall in the final game there. Here we see Group C, Archdevil at the top, tied with Psycho, as you mentioned, German player from Europe. One of 2 from the region, I believe, that they'll be advancing forward. And there we see Nudge there at the top. 20 points that we just saw in Group D, followed by Sweet Pea Land, and of course that tiebreak between Kong and Miss Peace. Our only significant tiebreak that actually is the difference between going home and advancing to tomorrow. As you can see, our 4 groups of action that we saw today, 4 best of 3s, groups A, B, C, and D. Top 4 advancing. And look, guys, look what we're seeing in the best of 4. We see our groups. We see our groups. These are our groups that will be happening tomorrow.
Let's have a look. Are these?
Give me your initial thoughts, guys. Let's see here.
My initial thoughts are there are so many good players that didn't make it out of today.
It's unbelievable, actually.
I am shocked. I'm actually shocked that there's some names that aren't on the list. But I mean, hats off to the players that are on the list. I mean, we have Hosanna. Those 2 Korean players now are actually going to face off against each other, Hosanna and Jinsu.
Yep.
And then on Group B, we have Nudge. And Nudge is going up against Seiko again. And Seiko, earlier on, before Group D started, he said, I don't want to be up against Nudge in
we can see why, right?
games.
Yeah.
So we can see 2 of the first players in both of the groups being split between the groups.
And then,
so it seems like it's top and bottom seed.
And then we have Nudge and Psycho, of course, both in the same group, which is
that's exactly
pretty interesting there.
Exactly.
I just got some info on when we start tomorrow and some time zone stuff that I am going to try to remember. Can be difficult. I believe we start at 1 p.m. local time tomorrow, local Shanghai time, and I believe that is 1 a.m. on the United States East Coast, which means that would be midnight on Central Time.
Yep.
And -2 is 10
a.m.
Oh, you're really good at this.
I know. See all this math? All this math I've been doing today has been and then get this, in Europe, 7 a.m. I believe.
Was that off the cuff?
I'm getting help.
Oh, okay.
I'm getting help. I'm getting a little bit of help. Some of those are off the cuff, though. I don't want to be... But, yeah, so we have a lot still to look forward to, guys, before we wrap up here. Any final thoughts on the day and what you're looking forward to tomorrow?
I'm excited to see the Korean players face off against each other and the European players face off against each other. Kind of the rivalries, but at the same time, teammates.
For sure.
At the end of the day, right? So those are something to look out for. And Shredded also, one of the content creators that is moving on now as well. A longtime friend of mine that I've known for quite some time. So would like to see him continue to
do well,
move on as well. Yeah, do well.
Yeah, and that is going to be interesting to see some of the players clashing. Thinking of the meta game for tomorrow, it's going to be interesting to see how this kind of evolves. It's a little bit more aggressive meta game where people are pushed to roll a little bit earlier. People are pushed to using money earlier. It doesn't go as long as it has previously. Not too many 9 beasts today, right? And that's going to be interesting to see what happens. I would love to see the 3 warrior frontline with Dragon Mages in the back. We haven't seen that from last patch, and I would love to see a return of that. Maybe we'll see it happen, maybe not, but you'll have to see tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's always really fun to talk about prize pools. Everyone who went home today goes away with $4,000. Not too bad. Everyone who advances to tomorrow gets at least $8,000. And if you're able to advance to Sunday, if you're able to finish in the top 4 tomorrow, you're earning yourself $18,000. Minimum if you make it on into Sunday. So lots to look forward to here at the 2019 Auto Chess Invitational. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. $1 million prize pool, and we're counting it all down this weekend, today, tomorrow, and Sunday. Stay tuned all weekend long. This has been Axel Toss, joined by Claytano and Yoel Larson. Also, we've had Cameron Davis and Excoundrel up here on the broadcast. Big thanks to the production crew. We got 2 more days to go here. Hour 11 and some change. We're done with day 1. See you tomorrow.